It's feast week, baby, and we are just getting started. Let's go.
You are Locked On College Basketball, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? Happy now Tuesday, November 25th. Feast week, day 2, coming up at you. But oh my goodness, we got to unpack everything that just happened in day 1. Heck, it's 2:12 a.m. on the East Coast, and we still got one game going in the Players Era Festival as we record. Right now, Maryland's up 61-56 on UNLV at the under 4 timeout. Crazy stuff. Welcome into the Locked On College Basketball Podcast. It's a live version of it as we're coming at you. I'm your host, Isaac Shade. You're joining me at the place to get your college basketball content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network there is. Thank you so much for making us your first listener watch to get your Tuesday going the right way, just an hour or so into it. Special shout out to all you everydayers out there, all the members of the Locked On College Basketball Discord as well. That link's in the show notes. We'd absolutely love to have you join us. This episode's brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. Download it and get started today. Oh my. I'm coming at you live literally right after Arizona State stages a crazy nice comeback to upset Texas, meaning neither of the favorites in Maui are going to win the championship because NC State also got upset on day 1. We'll get to that in just a second. We've got a huge overview of all 9 Players Era Festival games that took place today, and we ain't got much time to get through all of that, so we're going to have to burn through it. That's what we'll do. And then I'm going to get you ready for all of Tuesday's action, where we got 9 more Players Era Festival games, 4 more Maui games, and several other like smaller, 4-team MTEs. We got a standalone game between Indiana and Kansas State, all sorts of great stuff. Let's start though with the Players Era Festival, where we had 2 ranked on ranked matchups on Monday to get things going. That was St. John's and Iowa State, as well as Gonzaga, Alabama later in the day. What I'm going to do as we cycle through all this is I'm actually going to share my screen so we can put up box scores for those of you watching on YouTube. If you're listening back later, obviously you can pull up your things from elsewhere. So we're going to start. Let me see if I can find this. I've got all of the, there we go. The Iowa State, boom, there we go. You should be seeing it in real time right there if you are watching this. All right. Holy cow, Iowa State, St. John's, a smasher of a game. It lived up to everything we needed it to be. The Cyclones win this thing 83-82. I had said, look, Milan Momcilovic has to be an absolute dude for Iowa State this season, but particularly in this game, and he was. This is one of the things I wasn't sure about coming into this season. Could he rise to the occasion and take on that dog mentality, that lead guy? And it was especially critical in this game because Tamin Lipsey missed the last couple minutes for the Cyclones, hurt. So he's over on the bench, and still Iowa State finds a way to pull this thing out. Momcilovic drops 23, 8 of 13 from the field, 5 of 9 from 3. Really, really good stuff there. For St. John's, they're still trying to figure themselves out. And this was a game of several runs back and forth, really like blue collar type action where you got to be ready to punch and be punched and all of that coming at you. Cyclones, I thought, looked much better early, right out of the gate. They're up 23-13 in this thing. St. John's comes back to take a 45-43 lead at the half. Second half, Iowa State goes on this 9-0 run. They go up by 5, and I was like, all right, Cyclones starting to pull away here, but they could never shake St. John's. Really impactful stuff there for them. There was enough from Zubiedji at 4, but not like the fullness of what he needed to be, because how often have we said St. John's backcourt is still trying to figure out who they are? Dylan Darling plays 24 minutes in this game, scores 4 points, fouls out. Joe Sonone 27 minutes, 7 points. Osiah Sellers was nice, 20 points in 28 minutes. But Ian Jackson is coming off the bench in this game, 16 minutes, scored 5 points. Like, what on earth? Now you got Dylan Mitchell coming off the bench, where he and Bryce Hopkins and Zuby Ejiofor had all been starting. I think Coach Pitino is really trying to figure out still, who are we? Who are the 25-26 Johnnies? And I don't know that they've got that, because Sellers leads the way with 20. Then you got 16 each from Hopkins and Zuby Ejiofor, with 12 from Dylan Mitchell off the bench. And it's still not enough, because you got Joshua Jefferson just doing it for Iowa State. We've already talked about Milan Momcilovic, and then a whole host of other Cyclones taking care of business there. And so now UC St. John's drop another game here. This is going to be their second loss in totality. What do they fall to? Iowa State is now St. John's 3-2. Iowa State 5-0. This is really the first big game they've played. They beat Mississippi State, who's not that good. And tomorrow, or today, Tuesday, they're going to play Creighton, who that should be a beatdown as well. So really, this is the first big game before they play Purdue coming up on December 6th. As for St. John's, they've now lost the only games of note they've played, Alabama and Iowa State, because their 3 wins are Quinnipiac, William and Mary, and Bucknell. They're going to have Baylor and then Ole Miss coming up the next couple games. Obviously, there will be a third Players Era game as well. So, just St. John's still got to get stuff figured out. Let's keep going here. We got to get to our other ranked game, which was the big game of the night on Monday night. That was Gonzaga and Alabama. Gonzaga pulls it. Like, I expected Gonzaga to win this game, but the Bulldogs pull away late, win by 10, 95-85 with this thing, and just really impressive. So let's pull up this box score as well. Get the Gonzaga game. Stay with me here as we get it pulled up. Boom, there we go. So here's the thing for Alabama. Coming into this game, I said this game is about Alabama's backcourt being able to outscore Gonzaga's front court. Whoever's able to do that wins. Well, LeBaron Philon did his part. 29 points, 11 of 18 shooting, 3 of 6 from 3, 7 assists doled out in this game, although he did turn it over 6 times. The problem is Aiden Holloway was not able to match that. He's 4 of 15 from the field, 2 of 10 from 3, and just 13 points in his 28 minutes. Taylor Bowen, who has had some really nice moments early in the season, just 3 total shots, only played 14 minutes, ends up fouling out. Foul trouble, obviously, getting to him there. Millette, 0 points. Aiden Sherrill had 14 points. Really efficient day. And then there was just not much else from Alabama. You really needed it. I know Allen chips in 14, whatever, that's fine there. But then you look at everything Gonzaga was able to do, and you've got that front court of Graham Ike and Braden Huff going for 21 and 18 respectively on, Ike not his most efficient night, but 8 of 19. You can live with that. Meanwhile, Huff is 9 of 12 from the field for his 18 points. And oh, by the way, TGF, Tyon Grant Foster's just over here chipping in 21 on his own. Not real much of anything from the bench outside of Steele Venture's 12 points, but it didn't matter because all of the starters for Gonzaga are doing everything they need to do. Mario Saint-Supé goes 10 of 11 at the free throw line. Literally, that's all his points. He was 0 for from the field, but he's getting to the line and doing it. A really, really back and forth affair. And then Gonzaga just pulls away late. And that's ultimately what leads to this happening. And so ultimately, yes, it is Gonzaga's front court that decides it. Gonzaga it was a 15-3 run down the stretch to take that lead. There was a big 3 on the wing from Steele Ventures, followed by another layup from Graham Ike, and that pushed it out to 84-74. And then Gonzaga just kind of held Alabama at bay throughout the rest of it. One of the big issues in this game, particularly in the first half, was 3-point shooting. Gonzaga is 3 of 14. Meanwhile, Alabama in that first half ends up being 6 of 22, but at one point these teams were like 4 or 5 of 20 something combined. I mean, it was just not what you expect from either of them. For for Alabama, they wind up for the game. Let me get back to it. Shooting 9 of 21. So get to a more respectable 31%. But the two teams combined, it just wasn't there. 15 for 51 combined between the two teams. Gonzaga can weather that storm. That's what I'm looking for. Alabama can't. And that is the inconsistency that you're going to get with an Alabama offense. If the threes aren't falling, it's going to be a tough day for them. All right, let's whip around the rest of the Players Era Festival quickly, because I know we got to keep going, and a crazy, crazy day of events. The other big one we got to mention is Houston and Syracuse. To be fair, hand up, let me admit it, I did not give Syracuse any sort of chance in this basketball game. And boy, did I overlook a team that either just showed up for today or is better than I anticipated them being. I tell you, you guys, really, really impressed by what Syracuse was able to do to kind of stall Houston. And part of it, Kingston Flemings has been playing really well for Houston. 3 of 11 in this game. He had been the leading scorer in 4 of their 5 first games. Krasinak wasn't able to do much, 8 points. It was all the Milo Suzanne and Emmanuel Sharp show, combining for 52 points, literally 26 points each. But you didn't get enough from JoJo Tugler, who fouls out again, 2 points on 1 of 7 from the field. Isaiah Harwell, 2 points. And so you've got your heralded freshmen just not able to do as much as you would need them to do in this game. The combination of Fleming, Cenac, and Harwell total for a grand total of 19 points and didn't shoot very well to get there. And yes, Uzan and Sharp both had 26, but both needed 16 points for that. And so Houston kind of in and out a little bit. And I know there's been some that with Purdue as well early this season. And so I think it shows some early vulnerabilities for these top teams in the nation, which is why you see Arizona jumping up, right? Because they're just slaying folks right now. As for Syracuse, good on them, 6 players in double figures, led by Betsy, 16 points, had some big shots late. Honestly, this game is tied up. Syracuse has the last shot of regulation. I legit thought JoJo Tugler was going to get a foul called on him and was able to escape that somehow. They let the block go. This goes to overtime where Houston outscores Syracuse 11-7. But man, if you're Syracuse, yes, no moral victories, but you got to feel pretty good about this thing. Nate George, 11 points for JJ Starling, all sorts of stuff there. Kion Anthony, 10 points for Nate Kings, all of that. And so if you're Syracuse, I think what you got to do is say, look, we gave Houston all the run for their money they could handle. Maybe we feel like we could have won this basketball game. Maybe we should have. They were up. But now you've got to quickly regroup and not let that get away from you today on Tuesday or tomorrow or Thursday when you have your third game. Syracuse, what they have to find a way to do is now build on this. Look, we just nearly stuck it to Houston. But again, no moral victories. Now we got to put back-to-back games together and show up and ball out. So congrats to Syracuse on looking good. But if you're Houston, you got to test. And you pushed through and you got the dub. So, I think that's the thing for Kelvin Sampson is we'll take that and we'll run with it. As for the other 6 games in the Players Era Festival, Tennessee had their way with Rutgers. 52 combined points from Jacoby Gillespie, who had 32, and Nate Ament's 20. Just dominated everything you could think about. Creighton and Baylor, for a while, this was looking like not any kind of game. Creighton makes it close, but then Baylor pulls away late, 81-74. Kansas beats Notre Dame by 10, even without Darren Peterson, as expected. Yes, they are able to do that. Auburn is able to get the win over Oregon. I wondered if Oregon might have something for Auburn there, but I said if Keyshawn Hall plays, which he did, Auburn would be in good shape. They did, and now they've got a massive test on Tuesday. We'll get to that later. Oh my goodness, Michigan State absolutely trucked San Diego State. This was another one I absolutely missed. I put Michigan just on upset alert, and that was not meant to be. 94-54 was this game. San Diego State's not looked great early. They got some things to figure out, but good on Michigan, who has also not looked great early and then just had their way in this game. Hopefully for Michigan, that's a sign of better things ahead. We will see. UNLV and Maryland finishing up right now, 21 seconds left. Terps up 73-64. So I think we're going to get the win there for Maryland. Diggy Coit at the free throw line. Kansas, there's 10 points for him on the night. 74-64. Terps lead, 21 seconds to go. All right. Now we got to head way further west than Las Vegas, out to Maui, where both favorites in the event lost on day one. Oh my, the craziness is ensuing. I love it. And that's in a Maui field where I didn't expect things to be very good. We got some teams rising up. We'll look at that coming up here in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel. Y'all, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or maybe you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next bucket to fourth quarter comebacks and everything in between. And in the NBA, there's always those fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets for a shot into a same game parlay, which gives you a potential even bigger payout. Go check all that out. All of that keeps every game exciting because you got a little something extra riding on it. Houston coming into this game, 3.5 point favorite over Tennessee on Tuesday. Michigan, Auburn, Wolverines, 3.5 point favorites as well. Those are the two big games of Tuesday's Players Era Festival action. We'll see what happens. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head on over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play the game your way with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Ooh, grabbing a quick drink. Nice little Dude Perfect cup. What's up, dudes? Funny enough, Dude Perfect, Gig'em, Texas A&M. I'm seeing Buzz Williams on my screen right now in some kind of weird glasses and quarter zip. I don't know what's happening. But anyway, thank you for making Locked On College Basketball your first listener watch of the day. And thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network in the world, man. Thank you. It means so much. All right, let's head out to Maui, where NC State in Texas appeared to be the runaway, nobody's going to touch them favorites in this event. And of course, the basketball god said, isn't that cute? Nah, because both NC State and Texas fall in this event. Let's start with the first game of the day in Maui. Seton Hall, undefeated Seton Hall. I see you, Pirates, against 23 in the nation, NC State. And Seton Hall wins this thing 85-74. Here's the crazy factoid about this game that I did not, I hadn't comprehended that this was happening. Coming into this game, ranked teams playing unranked teams were 96-0 on the season. Had you realized that? I hadn't. Unranked teams had not beaten a ranked team once this season. That's absolutely bonkers until Monday, because Maui, right? So Seton Hall is the first team. Now unranked teams are 1-96 on the season against ranked teams. I guess we almost got another one. Had Syracuse knocked off Houston. That would have been funny, getting two in one day. But it's 85-74. Pirates are now 6-0. They scored 50 points in the second half against Will Wade and the Wolfpack. So this is not only the big first upset of the season, but man, the first one of Feast Week, just saying like Feast Week is here. Let's get going with this thing. So here's what's happened in this game. Let me get back to the box score of it all. Seton Hall, and it's not like some miraculous comeback. They were good from the jump, right? Like they were aggressive. I thought their defense was the dominant factor in this game. Darian Williams could not get anything going for a while. He winds up with 12 points at the end of things, but was saddled with foul trouble, picked up his fourth foul early in the second half, was stuck on 2 points for a good while, and they just rendered him as not a massive deal. Van Allen Lubin was the most important player from a scoring and rebounding standpoint for NC State with 16 and 9, and that's great and good, but I feel like if you're NC State, you feel like you need more from Darian Williams who had averaged 30 points a game in the 2 previous games, having scored 28 and 32. He was held to 12 here. You feel like Paul McNeil needs to do more. Trey Holloman, Claudia Copeland, Matt Abel, right? Alan Breed. Man, these guys all need to chip in, and they didn't. So it's good you get that from Lubin, but the guys you've been getting it from don't do it. Meanwhile, on the other end, Staten McCray, oh my goodness, drops 22 for Seton Hall, 7 of 11 from the field, 3 of 7, 8 boards. Man, just Seton Hall guys are chipping in everywhere. And Mike Williams had a really nice day, had been contributing. Then he's sitting on the bench for a long time with some kind of cramps or groin issue, something with his lower body going on, and he has to sit out. Simpkins is out for a while, and yet Seton Hall continues to push. What impressed me so much about what these guys were able to do, Seton Hall, is that like when NC State started punching, they would just, Shaheen Holloway's team would just push right back out. NC State would cut it to 5 or 6 or something like that. And before you blink, Seton Hall has 3 more steals, and now they're up 15 again. And that was what impressed me the most. And as you look at it from a Big East standpoint, Seton Hall still sitting there, at KenPom right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th at KenPom in the conference, but they're undefeated. You've got Georgetown that's still undefeated. Butler has a loss, but they got 2 power conference wins over the weekend. And you're like, all right, who is going to be third in the Big East to join UConn in St. John's? And you wonder, maybe Seton Hall could start making some noise. We'll see what else they do. Obviously got more games here in Maui. Next up is USC, who was able to get a win. We'll talk about them in a second. And then we'll see who that third game is going to be out in Maui for them. But really nice from Seton Hall here to get this win again. And with the defense, let me just come back to that, because Seton Hall coming into this game is allowing just 54.6 points per game. That's third best in the entire nation. Yes, NC State blows past that, but still to be able to have that defense and hold them to such things, because Seton Hall finishes with 9 blocks and 11 steals in this game, which, as a reminder, NC State has a small front court, and you're going to see stuff like that. Like, they're going to wind up getting blocked a good often, and you see Seton Hall leading points in the paint, 40-26, getting 9 blocks to NC State's 2, 11 steals to NC State's 5. All of that are critical factors in this basketball game, and ultimately, Seton Hall walks away with the really, really important win. And NC State, now they got to go regroup, because I think they thought like, hey, we're the only ranked team in this field. Yes, Texas is good, but they're not ranked either. We should win this event. We're riding high. We got Will Wade, but now they got to turn around and regroup. And so we'll get to their next game coming up in the third segment. On the other end, the bookend, Texas and Arizona State, you come into this, it's like, all right, Texas has got to feel like if they can get by Arizona State, they're going to the championship, because next up is going to be Chaminade or Washington State. But the problem for Texas is they cannot get by Arizona State. The Sun Devils pull this thing out really, really impressive. Arizona State kept pushing back, like we just said about NC State and Seton Hall. And Texas kept the lead, but just small margins. And every now and again down the stretch, Arizona State would jump in front by a point or 2. And that's what happened late. And you guys, all the credit in the world to Mo Odom. This kid finishes with 36 points, 7 of 21 shooting. So again, not efficient, but 16 of 18 at the free throw line. Last year, he was dishing out a ton of assists all the time, but only had 3 in this game. And that's the weird thing for Arizona State. Just 4 total assists on 25 made baskets. Got to share the ball better. That's too much one-on-one. And Bobby Hurley doesn't love that. But here's the thing. What Arizona State was able to do was to weather the foul trouble that their whole front court was in, and just keep rotating these guys, keep them going, because Vokatitis was just putting them back on the bench in foul trouble throughout the game. Dalen Swain had 24 points in the scene, cost his team, got a technical down the stretch. You can't be running your mouth. That's all it was doing. It was just jabbering his mouth. It wasn't some egregious F1 or something like that. It's tough. And then you kind of hate it because, at Maui, they're at the Lahaina Civic Center. It's known for kind of having some wet spots sometimes. Well, final play, Texas is down 1. They got 8 seconds left, and Tremont Marks slips trying to make a move out at the top of the key. There's no guarantees he scores if he makes a move, but it is what it is. So both Texas and NC State lose. Funny enough, Washington State almost lost to Chaminade. Yikes. And even if they had, Virginia would say, Ralph Sampson's like, hey, look, it happened to me too. Like that's the famous Chaminade game. But Washington State wins 90-85. You guys, the poor Cougars are just so bad. You hate it for them. Really good there. USC holds off Boise State 70-67 in the second game of the day. So that'll set up all the the second round matchups. We'll get to those in segment 3 with that. So that's where we got to go next. We got 9 more Players Era Festival games coming up on Tuesday. We got 4 more games out in Maui and a whole host of other fun stuff. Let me get you prepped for that coming up here in just a second. All right, Players Era Festival Day 2. As a reminder, these are preordained games. Again, teams knew their first 2 games coming in, and then after all that action, we will know what the matchups are going to be for Wednesday and Thursday. Yes, the third games are split between the 2, and it's still a little bit up in the air and confusing about how they're going to do all these matchups, but we'll find out and we'll know what the championships are going to be and all that. Speaking of which, really quick, news came out on Monday. Players Era Festival is trying to get to 32 teams next year. They have signed a deal with the Big 12 to guarantee, was it 8 Big 12 teams in this field next year? I mean, that's crazy, but that's what we're looking at. People want to be part of this event. The 2 big games in Players Era Festival on Tuesday. The first one is Houston and Tennessee. That's at 6 p.m. Eastern TNT. Cougs -3.5 in this thing. Obviously, Tennessee was playing Rutgers on Monday, so they looked a lot better. But Houston is going to have to play better, or Jacoby Gillespie is going to eat them alive. He will dissect them. He'll play a 2-man game with Nate Amen, and the Vols are going to have their way with it. Now, because of how Houston played on Monday, I expect them to have a big bounce back in this thing. I think it's a close game. I do think the Cougars win, but within a possession or 2, right? And so that's what we're looking at. The other big game is right after that one. It's Michigan and Auburn, 8:30 tip, also on TNT, also Michigan by 3.5. I said it earlier in the show. I've not been wildly impressed with Michigan so far this year, but boy, did they get their act together on Monday night and again, just obliterated San Diego State. Auburn's able to get by Oregon and Nate Biddle and Jackson Shellstad and Dana Altman's crew there. Really good win for Auburn. And so now we get a fun matchup between Auburn and Michigan. Excited to see those games back to back on Tuesday evening. The rest of the Players Era Festival action, let me run it back through for you chronologically. Rutgers Notre Dame's the first tip of the day, followed by Iowa State Creighton. I expect Iowa State to win that game to follow up. I just don't believe in that Creighton team very much. Again, Notre Dame, I also think will beat Rutgers. Then you got Kansas Syracuse. Kansas is showing things without Darren Peterson, Flory Badunga, but Syracuse, again, we just said it. How are they going to follow up their showing against Houston? Well, they get to show it against another really good team in Kansas. Then you got St. John's Baylor. Now, I don't know what to make of that game. I think the Johnnies are going to be a little bit upset after what happened on Monday, but Baylor is off to a pretty nice start this season, and I still don't believe in the Johnnies all that much, although they're favored by 5.5 in this one, and I do think they win straight up. Baylor covers the spread, though. Let's go with that. Later in the night, Gonzaga and Maryland Zags are going to run away with this one. It's a 13.5-point spread. I think the biggest spread of player. Yes. No. Tied for the biggest spread in Players Era Festival on Tuesday. Then we got Oregon, San Diego State. Nice West Coast matchup. Give me the Ducks in that one. San Diego State did not look good. I think that was both about Michigan and San Diego State on Monday. And then the nightcap is the other biggest line, also 13.5, and it's Alabama and UNLV. Josh Pastner's team's been a little up and down. They've been trending in a better direction, stuck with Maryland for a good while on Monday night, but I do think that Alabama, a pissed off Alabama, wins this basketball game. Let's go out to Maui, where now the matchups are set for Tuesday following the finale of Texas and Arizona State. So the first tip of the day is going to be NC State and Boise State. Again, Boise gave USC a nice push on Monday, but I think NC State rebounds. Bigger day for Darion Williams, and they get it done over the Broncos. Then we got USC Seton Hall. This is the most intriguing game, actually, to me, of Maui on day 2. Let's go Seton Hall. The Pirates looked really, really good. Really good on Monday. We'll see what USC can do. You know, you got CBM and the whole crew out there with Coach Musselman. We'll see if the Muss Bus can roll, but I think Seton, let me get some Seton Hall in this action. Then we got Washington State and Arizona State, former Pac-12 foes. Ooh, gross, Wazoo's bad. Give me the Sun Devils. And then Chaminade, Texas. Texas, yes, it's going to be a letdown, having lost a game they should have won, and now playing Chaminade, but just too much talent for Coach Miller's team there. Texas is going to win going away. We've also got the Acrisure Classic. Ole Miss, Iowa, that's a fun game. The Rebs are going to win it, though. That's 9:30 Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Sorry, not CBS, CBS Sports Network. Then the nightcap, Utah, Grand Canyon. Intriguing them game there. That's midnight Eastern, also on CBS Sports Network. I'm tempted with Grand Canyon there. I got to be honest. Yeah, why not? Let's do it. And then I mentioned it earlier, but K-State at now ranked Indiana, 25th in the nation, 8 p.m. on FS1. That's a true road game. Hoosiers by 9.5. Excited to see Tucker DeVries and PJ Haggerty go off on who should be 2 of the best scorers in the nation this year. Again, PJ's probably going to get triple-double type numbers, but they're going to lose. Hoosiers going to win this thing, and Coach DeVries is going to be happy. Empire Classic. We got UCLA 18th in the nation against Cal. That's on ESPN. That's going to bump the night game of Maui over to ESPN2. UCLA by 8.5. That game's at the Chase Center. Give me the fighting Mick Bruins. Again, not leaving the West Coast at all in non-con play. It's so wild. And there's another one. They should roll against Cal. All right, guys, that's it for your Monday recap. Tuesday. I love Feast Week, right? It's like the tournament, conference championship week, and Feast Week. Man, that is where it's at. I know it's super, like it is 2:45 on the East Coast, 1:45 in my central time zone. Earlier, but still really late for you guys in Mountain and West Coast time. Maybe some people actually from the island of Hawaii, you're tuning in to this thing as well. Great to have you all in here. Andy's going to be hosting the show on Wednesday. That'll be fun. So he'll recap day 2 of Players Era Festival in Maui and get you ready for day 3. I will handle things. I might even go live Wednesday night for that thing. It's just what we're doing here. And then Andy and I will have Friday's show for you. So we're going to be locked in with you all Feast Week, even though, yes, it's Thanksgiving, because we want to bring you the best we can all the time. All right, you guys. Feast Week is rolling. College basketball is here. Congrats to all the teams that won. Really curious to see how other teams will bounce back on Tuesday. Hope you all have a great Thanksgiving Eve. We'll talk again soon, but for now, apologies to the Lawyer family. Cheers to the McBruin. Shouts to the Wild Popes. We'll talk again, but until then, peace.